and CA also E2014, JOFET 2014, NUDC 2015, IFET 2016, and NSDC 2018. The motion and the theme for this round is soil, water, beta. Tanah, air, beta. Before we announce the motions, I would like to remind all members of the audience to silence your phones and any electronic devices. Please also do not speak during the rounds, nor enter or leave the hall during the speeches. Also, if you strongly agree or disagree with a point that the speakers bring, please just nod enthusiastically. Try not to make too much noise. It will distract the speakers and the judges of this round, including applause during speeches. Please keep that to a minimum. Okay. Context slide. We will be debating about identity politics, which are political positions based on the interests and perspectives of social groups with which people identify, for instance, religion, race, and culture. Identity politics includes the ways in which politics are shaped by aspects of their identity instead of the traditional broad-based party politics. The motion before the House reads, as political candidates with a minority background in Indonesia, this House would use identity politics as the main campaign strategy in elections. Without further ado, to start this debate, I call the first speaker of the affirmative team, Ahmed.
Indonesia, a land of diversity, they said. But what we see is not a land of diversity. What we see is a land of oppression. Oppression towards minorities and carelessness of government to fix the issue at hand. A land where a kid was stabbed because he simply looked like Aho. A land where a Chinese person was asked to pay higher price for their transportation simply because of her race. Our side fixes this problem. Our model is clear. First of all, we're not just talking about presidential election. We're talking about every single election that exists in our country. We're talking about other branches of government election as well. Second of all, we do not necessarily push away the majorities. We don't necessarily say that we don't care about the majorities. But what we're saying is that we want to raise awareness towards the oppression that these minorities experience and that these minorities experience in their life, and we want to support the enactment of policies that protect minorities from these oppression. Our aim, first of all, is to throw lights to the problem experienced by minorities, whatever that is in their life. Second of all, is that we want to show the society that the incumbent government has the ability to fix the problem. Because we stand for the oppressed, we stand for the silence, and we stand for the voiceless. Later, I have two main arguments that I'd like to bring to the table in this beginning of this debate. First of all is that it is achieving political representation to actually create a campaign with political, with this certain as the main campaign. Second of all is that we have the moral obligation to support our own kind. So first argument, this is to achieve political representation. In our status quo, minorities and their interests are very underrepresented. First of all, it's because, of course, they are minorities. So it is obvious that they have a smaller number, creating underrepresentation in the government side of the House. Second of all, is that the majority has already been using identity politics in the first place to undermine the minorities themselves. For example, in the last Jakarta governor election, where one candidate is using the majority religion against the other candidate. They are doing it because it is an effective strategy to push away the minorities, to sacrifice them, gaining more votes to win the election later. They can get a significant voter base by oppressing the minorities actively. But the effect of this situation is multidimensional. It is that increases hatred and hate crimes towards the Chinese minority, for example of the last Jakarta governor election, even to the extent that someone delivered a speech saying that I will pay you 1 billion for every single Chinese head that you bring to me. But what do we change on our side of the house? First of all, we raise awareness towards the struggles and hardships of the minorities that are experienced by these people. For example, the simple fact that it is harder for you in our country to gain job as a minority. And then we propose in our campaign policies that will effectively solve these kinds of problems. But why would it be effective to actually do these kinds of campaigns and to support our own kind and our minorities? It will be effective because, of course, there is a media that will cover these kinds of campaign. It is a political campaign after all, so the media will be existent and they will cover the campaign, and this will gain a large exposure, saying that we need that these minorities deserve their rights. Third of all, by doing these kinds of campaign, we gain more votes from two kinds of people. First of all, of course, we gain votes from the minorities themselves because they are the one that is oppressed in the end of the day. So, of course, they want to support governments that actually answers and caters to their needs, to their oppression, and to stand for them. Second of all, we will also gain vote from people that are sympathizing, people that are a decent human beings that understand that these oppressions should not longer stand. People that are in the first place uninformed about the oppression that the minorities feel, and therefore this campaign will gain these fractions and these votes from these people, making us likely to win the election and in the end of the day enact policies that protect minorities. But then let's bite the bullet. Say we don't win, say that we lose. It will, at the end of the day, still be beneficial on our side of the house because, first of all, by this campaign, we will first reach public realization. We will show people how minorities are oppressed. As I said earlier, many people are uninformed and many people are hidden from the fact that minorities are oppressed. These kinds of campaigns covered by the media will give public realization. But second of all, the incumbent government has the ability to fix it. Whether they are majority or minority, they have the ability to fix it. Many governments currently do not care about the problems minorities feel. This campaign will at the very least raise criticism towards this government and force them to protect the minorities. So in conclusion, on our side, we gain, first of all, public support from the minorities themselves and of course from the decent human beings that actually realize the oppression that minorities feel. But second of all, we will gain public advocacy for policies through criticism to the incumbent government at the end of the day. So, moving on to my second argument of how we have the moral obligation to support our own kind. We think that trying to just win in an election as a politician is selfish. It is heinous. A good politician stands against oppression and protect their own people. This is what we believe. The reason that these politicians of same background should be the one or the actors that do it, that protects their own kind, that protects minorities, is because first of all, they know the oppression. They feel and they experience the oppression. They are the one at the end of the day that are being oppressed. But second of all, the majority of people doesn't know the fact that minorities are oppressed. Majority of people don't realize that other people surrounding them are oppressing the minorities. Many people are even hidden from the fact that minorities are indeed oppressed because of the way they are raised or because of the way they are educated. But why should it be done in the end of the day? Having the moral obligation to support our kind. It should be done because it is complicit within the oppression. If we do not do anything, this oppression will keep happening. It's not ever going to stop. Because, of course, the oppression is very unknown by many people, and the oppression is not being catered to by the majority of the government that we have at the current day. And so these politicians should have the moral obligation to stop these oppressions. But even if we say that they don't have the moral obligation to actually protect these societies, we believe that it is still within the interest of these politicians to do so. Why is that? Well, opposition might say that these politicians are privileged. These politicians are raised in a place where there is no oppression towards minorities. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once they come down from their reign, once they stop being a governor or once they stop being a president, they come back to their normal lives and they are, in the end of the day, gonna be having the same oppression that these minorities, that their fellow citizens feel today, and therefore they should do it and they should stop it while they have the privilege and while they have the ability to do so, while they have the ability to create a protection, to create policies that protect minorities. And in conclusion, we are, as the minorities, the only one. We are the best and we are the one who understand. We are morally obligated to do so. We are morally obligated to support our own kind. Our side stands for the oppressed. Our side stands for the silence, and our side stands for the voiceless. We are so proud to propose. Thank you.
The speaker spent 8 minutes and 10 seconds. 8 minutes, 10 seconds. I thank the first speaker for his remarks, and to start the opposition case, I welcome Nicole Charlene as first speaker of opposition.